What's up everyone, it's Marco Hanna from PhoneDog.com, and this video is all for your photo nerds because we're putting two amazing flagships head to head all about cameras. Two pretty new devices, one not so new, one is pretty darn new. It's the LG G3 and the Samsung Galaxy S5. Two new flagships, one with monster specs, the other one with pretty monster specs, probably a little bit more monster specs, and two great cameras. A full 16 megapixel camera, UHD video recording in all Samsung color, and the LG G3 with a 13 megapixel camera, OIS video stabilization and camera stabilization, and some amazing laser autofocusing system. So it's the LG G3 and the Samsung Galaxy S5 in a camera war. So you want a good camera and an Android flagship. Well, these two have you covered in a lot of areas. Question is, which one is really better? We have Samsung's ultra spec'd out 16 megapixel sensor, 4K UHD video recording, and the longest set of settings known to any man on any smartphone. On the LG side, you have a 13 megapixel sensor, 4K UHD recording, and OIS, which at the time of this recording is the only phone recording UHD with OIS. Now obviously this stuff could be outdated in a few weeks, months, whatever, but as of now, these two are probably the best mobile cameras in the market today. So before we dive into the image quality, the video quality, and the software, let's dive into the hardware. Sensor-wise, the Samsung Galaxy S5 is equipped with a 1/2.6-inch sensor, but has a resolution of 5312 by 2988. It can shoot 16 megapixel stills, record UHD 4K video at 30 frames a second. It can also do 1080p at 60 frames per second. You also have a 2 megapixel front-facing camera, also capable of recording 1080p video at 30 frames per second. On the LG G3, you have a slightly smaller 1/3 inch sensor with an effective resolution of 4160 by 3120. This will shoot 4:3 aspect ratio, 13 megapixel photos, UHD at 30 frames per second, but only 1080p at 30 frames per second. There is no slow motion mode on the G3. You also have a 2.1 megapixel front-facing camera and also 1080p at 30p. Now let's switch our focus to the image quality. Let's look at the S5 first. The images from afar look pretty nice, full of color, pretty sharp, and really contrasty. Let's zoom in, say about 100%, and you start seeing artifacts, like you do in most other mobile phone cameras. Now let's look at the G3, same photo, same lighting. From afar, you can tell slight differences in the color. The G3 has a more natural looking color, and the S5 has a more vibrant looking color, but both look pretty darn good. Now let's zoom in the same 100% on the G3 photo, and I can say with confidence there is some more detail on the G3. Not a whole lot, but it is there. Now how realistic is this real world? Not really, but the G3 is a more capable camera for capturing detail. Another victory for the G3 is in HDR mode, or high dynamic range. It seems like it captures much more dynamic range than the S5. Again, not an extreme difference, but a nice subtle differences to make a photo more aesthetically pleasing to view. Now one area where the S5 gains is nature photos. Greens to be more specific. Greens just look darn better on the S5 than it does look on the G3. Now it does not affect the blues or reds or whites, just the greens and the browns and the nature colors that you see in forests or sky. Next, let's take a look at low light performance. I'm almost willing to call this an even draw, but the G3 had one test where it captured much more color and slightly more detail than the S5. Looking at the face of this angel, the S5 has less detail and more artifacts than the G3. Both are pretty much really noisy, but more detail means better results here. Now this is one of the most important tests, the video recording. So automatically the G3 has a huge advantage. Why? OIS. Optical image stabilization has been something we journalists have craved for in UHD video recording on all mobile phones, and finally, the G3 delivers it. Now, it is a bit robotic in terms of how it stabilizes the video, but the important fact is this is optical image stabilization. No software trickery, this is the actual camera lens moving and compensating for the motions in the hand and the device. So obviously the S5 video will look a little bit more shaky than it does look on the G3, but the G3 does have a robotic motion. Mainly it's because I'm holding two phones at one time and it's a little shakier that way. Video quality wise, the S5 has more color depth. The G3 seems less friendly to correct exposure, while the S5 seems to handle lots of lighting situations very well. I wish I had the S5's color and the G3's OIS combined into one super smartphone camera, but we can't get all of our wishes at one time, now can we? Now let's switch our focus to software. The S5 has a clear overall advantage. It may be more complicated with more features and settings and modes, but the G3 software seems a bit obstructive and unclear. For example, you click on these three little dots expecting a full menu to come out, but it actually hides your bar menu. And you do have limited options to what you can change. I do wish for more customization on the G3 camera, but again, that's just not available yet. So at the time of this recording, it's not great, but this could change, but we would update you guys with a new video if that does change, so make sure to hit that subscribe button to be notified if and when we do upload that video. The S5 seems more refined than the G3, and I have a sense of know-how when I use the camera on the Samsung Galaxy S5. Things may be high in quantity, but I do know where everything is. Now, if you give me the choice, I would pick the G3, mainly for OIS HDR mode, which works absolutely fantastic, and it does have more natural colors, even though it may seem washed out compared to the Samsung Galaxy S5. I do like vibrant colors, but I also do like natural looking colors, especially when it comes to skin tones and landscape photos. Those all look good in natural colors. But you may be more inclined for a better looking photo, and if that's true, then the Samsung Galaxy S5 is the best option. But OIS is almost a must for me, and it's a pretty big deal in my opinion. So let me know which one you would pick out of these two, or if you have your own contender you would like me to do a matchup in a future video between the G3 and your selection. You can either send those comments to me on my Twitter account at phonedog_Marco, or you can simply leave them in the comments below. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button to let us know you enjoyed this video. Again, my name is Marco Hanna from phonedog.com, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.